Africa that they were not educated or informed about. So I don't want to measure it in terms of concrete. Sure, there's some people went there and met people, and sure, there's some business deals that going on. There's a young guy. His father was a friend of mine. He was a cancer specialist here in Cleveland, named Kwame Anku, and he has a African American partner, Cheryl Mills, and they're offering middle class houses in Ghana. They got a big place up in Tima, big plot of land. They're building very nice houses, and he's marketing to diaspora. Not only to people in the United States, but even people from other parts of Africa. So I see a lot of initiative had come out of Ghana, but I think it's only the beginning, and so we can't really measure it in terms of the year of return. They put a lot of money into the coffers of Ghana via tourism, which is great. A lot of people came to Ghana and they bought cloth, they bought kente cloth, and they got their hair done and just had a heck of a vacation. Most of us were thinking that you couldn't go to Africa for a vacation. We think about the Bahamas or we think about maybe New York or something, but we don't think about Africa. And Africa has some of the most beautiful destinations in the world and most beautiful opportunities. So if you go for tourism, that's one thing. If you go and you meet somebody there and you can develop some kind of partnership, that's another thing. There's another sister here who was producing shea butter, and she was a Peace Corps volunteer, a Black Peace Corps volunteer in Mali. And she decided to come back and really market shea butter. And she built it into several products, got it in all kinds of stores, Whole Foods and several others. And she's providing tremendous income to the women who produce shea butter in West Africa. So that's another example of so there's a lot of things that came out of it. But in my mind, we have a long way to go. We're just getting started. It was a great start. Other countries are taking note. They're looking at dual citizenship. They're looking at all kinds of strategies for engaging the diaspora to impact in Africa in a positive way.
So, from your experience, what sectors are some attractive ways to invest in Africa? What sectors do you find more viable?
Well, there's several sectors, and our conference came out of it. Agriculture and agribusiness is certainly a growing opportunity in Africa. Africa is going to be the breadbasket, not only for Africa, but for the world. And there's all kinds of opportunities in agribusiness that there's a lot of opportunities in education. One of the problems with coronavirus is it has really shut us all down, and we all have to work from our homes, and we locked down. But it also created opportunities to utilize the new technology, Zoom and others, to communicate. And so now we're able to have these conversations with people throughout the world. I mean, there's Africans on the call here from across the continent and from across the world. We couldn't do this a year ago. And so it's true also we can promote some educational opportunities across these vehicles to actually reach people across the world. There's no reason why we can't be doing education programs. There's no reason why we can't intersect in the health sector. Telemedicine is going to explode. And I would like to see African Americans and others at the forefront of promoting technology, healthy technologies across the African continent. So I see all kinds of areas that one could explore. Construction, housing is another area that's very big. Certainly the internet and technologies promotion, which a lot of Africans are picking up. All these young people around the continent are really, really taking up the technology. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity for us to partner with Africans in that regard.
Okay. Now, can you briefly explain how the African Growth and Opportunity Act, a trade act that was enabled in 2000 by U.S. Congress, how that has helped trade with Africa, U.S.-Africa trade, and where we are now in terms of the implementation of this bill?
Well, I was at the beginning of AGOA, the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. I was at the very beginning. I took it around the country. I educated Americans about it. It changed the paradigm as to how we looked at Africa. Before that, it was all about aid. We were dropping food in Biafra and, out of airplanes and dropping it to the ground. And we were killing more people with those packets falling out of airplanes than we was helping them. Then we gave the money to NGOs to go out and help Africans. Most of the NGOs put the money in their pocket, But then we gave the money directly to African governments. We know what happened to a lot of that money. It went to Swiss bank accounts. So we're rethinking how we look at Africa, and AGOA helped to do that. It got us thinking not only about possibilities of doing trade with Africa, that actually built the framework for the HIV/AIDS legislation, PEPFAR. That was grown on the back of AGOA. So AGOA changed how we looked at Africa and how we dealt with Africa. And rather than talk about an aid paradigm, we talked about possibilities of doing trade and investment. It didn't have the dramatic impact that many of us had hoped, partly because the Africans were not used to anything like that. They had their hand out looking for a grant from USAID as opposed to seeing what they had. You know, here in Africa, you got the oil, you got gas, you got all these minerals, you got all this potential, you know, and you know, the world knows it. You got coltan that has the key ingredient in all of our cell phones. You know, it's all in the Congo, you know. But Africans didn't know what Africa was. Africa was very fragmented. All these little small countries competing with each other. Each one got an army. Each one got an embassy. So now we have so I think AGOA set the framework for a new discussion about the U.S. and Africa and what we can do together. But we have a lot more to do. I think this new continental free trade agreement that Africans have formed, you know, a continental trade zone, which is the largest trade zone in the world. It's going to take a lot to get that really moving where it needs to go, but I think it's a step in the right direction, and I think it's going to give us even greater opportunities to promote a trade agenda with Africa. Africa right now is only the place that they get minerals from. They haul them out. They get the bauxite out of Guinea. They get the gold and iron. They haul it out of even chocolate. You know, the best chocolate in the world is Swiss chocolate. You know, Belgium chocolate. There's not one chocolate tree in Belgium. There's not one chocolate tree in Switzerland. The chocolate comes from Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, and West Africa. And so we want to produce the chocolate in West Africa and create the jobs and that kind of thing.
Okay. And before we wrap, because we are almost at the end of this discussion, would you give a couple of advice? What would you give us some tips to people who would like to invest in Africa from the diaspora? One or two tips that you share.
Well, the one thing you have to do is you got to know something about Africa. You can't go to Africa, having never been there, and think you're going to do business in one day. You know, you arrive in Nigeria on Monday and think you're going to have a business deal by Tuesday. It doesn't work that way. We got to get to know each other. And we can do that through Zoom. We can do it through many other factors. An organization like CFA, to me, are instrumental in that process because we don't have you know, we're not really on anybody's side, but we can help make the contact. We can help make sure that the entrepreneurs in the West don't get ripped off when they go to Africa. We can help explain things. We can help bridge the gap. We can talk to the governments. So you're going to need an organization like CFA. CFA needs to be stronger than it is, and African governments ought to be supporting CFA because we have their interests at heart here in places like Washington, D.C.
Great. And Melvin Foote, thank you so much. It's definitely, at the end of the day, it's about win-win collaboration and business exchange. So we appreciate your insights. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks to all of you for joining us. That was CEO and President of Constituency for Africa. Thank you. Bye-bye.